Before you move forward, let your mind settle here. Before you move forward, before you decide anything, before you push yourself to take the next step, stay here for a moment. Tonight is not asking you to figure everything out. It's not asking you to be brave or decisive or strong. It's simply inviting you to let your mind settle. Some decisions feel heavier at night, not because they became more complicated, but because the noise finally stopped. And now you can hear everything you've been carrying. If you feel pressure to move, pressure to choose, pressure to not fall behind, this message is for you. God does not rush clarity. He prepares the heart first. This time is not about finding answers. It's about returning to a state where answers can be received. Stay here. Nothing needs to be decided right now. Ask him why decisions feel heavier at night. At night, decisions feel heavier than they do during the day, not because the situation has changed, not because the problem suddenly became more complex, but because the noise finally stopped. During the day, movement protects us. Tasks, conversations, messages, responsibilities, they keep the mind occupied. We move from one thing to the next without noticing how much we are carrying. But at night, movement ends. The room grows quiet. The body slows down. And the mind, no longer distracted, begins to surface everything it held back. This is why choices feel overwhelming at night. It's not that you suddenly became uncertain. It's that you finally became still enough to feel the weight. A tired mind does something very specific. It confuses urgency with importance. It tells you that if you don't decide now, you might lose something. It creates pressure where clarity should live. When the body is exhausted, the mind often works harder to compensate. Thoughts loop, scenarios replay, words are rehearsed, futures are imagined. Not because something is wrong with you, but because your system has not fully slowed down yet. This is a human response, not a spiritual failure. Many people blame themselves for this moment. They think, if my faith were stronger, I wouldn't feel this way. But faith does not remove the nervous system. And restlessness is not a lack of belief. At night, your defenses are lower. Your emotions are closer to the surface. The questions you managed to silence all day finally find space to speak. And because the mind is tired, it struggles to hold those questions gently. So everything feels heavier than it truly is. This is why wise decisions are rarely made from exhaustion. A tired mind narrows perspective. It focuses on immediate relief instead of long-term peace. It wants the discomfort to end, not the direction to be right. God understands this about you. Throughout Scripture, God does not pressure people to decide while they are depleted. He often meets them in rest before he speaks about direction. He knows that clarity does not live in panic. It lives in safety. When your mind is overloaded, even good options can feel threatening. Even open doors can feel demanding. Even gentle guidance can feel like pressure. This is not because you are failing. It is because you are human. Nighttime exposes what daytime hides. It reveals the cost of everything you've been carrying silently. The expectations, the responsibilities, the fear of choosing wrong, the fear of missing something important, the fear of being left behind. When all of that surfaces at once, the mind tries to regain control. It tells you that a decision will bring relief. But often what you need first is not a decision. It is rest. God does not require clarity from an exhausted heart. He does not demand answers from a tired mind. He invites you to settle first. This is why so many moments of guidance in the Bible are preceded by stillness, by waiting, by silence, by rest. Because God knows that direction received in peace is different from direction chosen in pressure. Tonight, if decisions feel heavier than usual, it does not mean you are unprepared. It means you are tired. And tired minds deserve gentleness, not urgency. You are not behind because you cannot decide right now. You are not failing because clarity feels distant. Your mind is asking for permission to slow down, and that permission is not weakness, it is wisdom. Tonight, you do not need to sort everything out. You do not need to replay every option. You do not need to reach a conclusion. This moment is not asking you to choose. It is asking you to rest long enough for your heart to breathe again. Clarity will come later. Direction will come in time. But tonight, your only responsibility is to let the weight settle. Nothing is being lost by waiting. Nothing is slipping away. You are simply allowing your mind to return to a place where it can hear clearly again. Urgency is not always God. Urgency has a way of disguising itself as wisdom. It speaks quickly, it sounds responsible, it convinces you that waiting is dangerous and delay is failure. But urgency is not always God. Sometimes urgency comes from fear of missing out, fear of choosing wrong, fear of falling behind while others move forward. Urgency presses the mind and tightens the chest. It tells you that something must be done now, or everything will unravel. Yet, when you look closely at how God leads throughout Scripture, you begin to notice a pattern that feels very different from pressure. God's guidance rarely arrives with panic. It does not rush the heart. It does not steal peace to prove importance. When God speaks, there is firmness, but not force. There is direction, but not anxiety. There is clarity, but not chaos. Urgency, on the other hand, thrives in chaos. It feeds on exhaustion. It grows louder when you are tired. It becomes most convincing when your emotional reserves are low. This is why urgency often shows up at night. Not because God suddenly changed his mind, but because your mind has less energy to resist pressure. A tired heart is more likely to confuse intensity with truth. Urgency tells you that if you wait, you'll lose your chance. God reminds you that what is meant for you cannot pass you by. Urgency says, decide now or regret it later. God says, rest first, then listen. One of the quiet dangers of urgency is that it pushes you to act before peace arrives. It trains you to move while unsettled, to choose while bracing, to decide while your heart is tense. But God does not lead from tension. In Scripture, when God calls someone, he often meets them in stillness first. Moses is not rushed at the burning bush. David is not pressured while waiting in the wilderness. Jesus withdraws before major moments, not after. God is never frantic about timing. That alone should tell you something. If the voice urging you forward is loud, anxious, and unforgiving, if it leaves no room for rest, no space for prayer, no permission to breathe, that voice is not reflecting God's character. God does not bully your spirit. Urgency often comes wrapped in responsibility. It tells you that good people decide quickly, that faithful people don't hesitate, that strong believers don't pause. But wisdom knows the difference between obedience and pressure. Obedience flows from trust. Pressure flows from fear. God's invitations are steady. They do not demand immediate proof. They allow room for alignment. When urgency drives your decisions, you may end up choosing relief over truth, movement over meaning, speed over direction. And later, when the pressure fades, you realize the choice never brought peace. It only silenced the discomfort temporarily. God does not work that way. If God is calling you, he will still be calling tomorrow. If the direction is from him, it will not disappear overnight. Urgency threatens to withdraw opportunity. God assures continuity. Tonight, if you feel a push to decide immediately, pause and notice what that push feels like in your body. Is it calm? Or is it tight? Is it steady? Or is it frantic? God's guidance may challenge you, but it will not destabilize you. Peace does not always mean comfort, but it always means safety. You are allowed to step back from urgency. You are allowed to question pressure. You are allowed to rest without deciding. God is not offended by your pause. He is present in it. If He is not rushing, you do not need to rush either. Tonight, let urgency pass without obeying it. Let pressure speak without answering it. Let the need to decide quiet down. This is not avoidance, this is discernment. God is not asking you to move faster. He is inviting you to move wisely, and wisdom never begins in panic. A settled mind hears more clearly. Clarity does not come from thinking harder. It comes from listening deeper. Many people believe that if they analyze long enough, if they replay every angle, if they stay awake just a little longer, clarity will finally appear. But clarity doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to space. A settled mind creates room. Room to notice what was already there. Room to hear what was being drowned out by tension. Room to recognize truth without forcing it. When your thoughts are racing, your attention narrows. You fixate on outcomes. You search for guarantees. You try to control what hasn't arrived yet. But when your mind begins to settle, your perception widens. You start to see patterns instead of fragments. You sense direction instead of urgency. You recognize peace not as an emotion, but as a signal. God often waits for this moment. Not because He is withholding guidance, but because He knows you will hear it more clearly when your heart is no longer bracing. A braced heart listens defensively. It filters everything through fear. It asks, "What if this goes wrong?" before it ever asks, "What is being offered?" But a settled heart listens openly. It is not rushing to protect itself. It is available. This is why stillness matters. Stillness is not empty. It is receptive. When Jesus spoke, He often spoke to those who were willing to stop, to pause, to remain. "Come away," He said. Rest. Not as a reward, but as preparation. God understands how the human mind works. He knows that anxiety distorts hearing. He knows that exhaustion colors interpretation. He knows that fear amplifies noise. So He does not shout directions into chaos. He creates calm. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. When your mind settles, you begin to notice subtle things. You notice which thoughts bring tension and which bring quiet assurance. You notice which ideas feel heavy and which feel steady. You notice that some options drain you even when they look good on paper, and others, though uncertain, carry a strange sense of peace. That peace is not always excitement, it is not certainty, it is not confidence, it is alignment. Alignment does not demand urgency, it invites trust. A settled mind does not rush to label everything. It allows understanding to form slowly. This is why clarity often arrives not in a burst, but in a calm recognition. You don't suddenly decide. You realize. You realize what no longer fits. You realize what you've been forcing. You realize what you've been afraid to admit. And that realization comes quietly. God's guidance rarely competes for attention. It does not fight your thoughts. It waits for them to soften. Tonight, if your mind feels noisy, that does not mean God is far away. It means your system needs time to unwind. Settling is not something you do once. It is something you allow. You allow your breathing to slow. You allow your body to release tension. You allow your thoughts to pass without following them. And as that happens, clarity begins to breathe again. Not because you forced it, but because you made room for it. God does not rush your understanding. He respects your process. He knows that clarity received too early can overwhelm a heart that is still guarding itself. So He waits, not to test you, but to protect you. If tonight you cannot hear direction clearly, that does not mean you are missing something. It means you are being invited to settle first. Clarity will come, but it will come in a voice that does not compete with fear. It will come when your heart is steady enough to trust it. For now, let your mind rest in this truth. You do not need to force understanding. You do not need to chase certainty. You do not need to solve what belongs to tomorrow. Your only task tonight is to let your mind become quiet enough to recognize peace when it arrives. The difference between pausing and avoiding. Many people are afraid of pausing because they confuse it with avoiding. They worry that if they stop, they are running away. If they wait, they are being irresponsible. If they don't decide now, they are failing somehow. But pausing and avoiding are not the same. Avoiding moves away from truth. Pausing moves closer to it. Avoiding numbs. Pausing listens. Avoiding distracts. Pausing makes space. Avoidance is driven by fear. Pausing is guided by wisdom. When you avoid something, you refuse to look at it. You push it away. You pretend it doesn't exist. But when you pause, you acknowledge what is in front of you without letting fear rush your response. Pausing says, I see this. I feel this. I'm not ready to decide yet, and that's okay. God honors this kind of honesty. Throughout Scripture, we see moments where waiting is not weakness, but obedience. Jesus did not rush into every demand placed before him. He did not respond to pressure simply because it existed. He often withdrew, not to escape, but to realign. He paused to pray. He paused to rest. He paused to listen. And in those pauses, clarity was formed. Avoidance creates distance from God. Pausing creates intimacy. When you pause with God, you are not delaying obedience. You are preparing for it. Many wrong decisions are not made because people are careless, but because they are tired and afraid to stop. They move because stillness feels unsafe. They choose because waiting feels uncertain. They decide because silence feels unbearable. But silence is not empty. Silence is where truth begins to surface. Pausing allows your nervous system to calm. It allows your emotions to settle. It allows your thoughts to slow enough to be examined instead of obeyed. Avoidance refuses to feel. Pausing allows feeling without being controlled by it. This distinction matters deeply. God does not call you to act from panic. He calls you to act from peace. If a choice demands urgency but offers no peace, it may not be time yet. Pausing gives your heart time to catch up to what your mind has been processing. Sometimes your understanding is ahead of your capacity. You may intellectually know what to do, but emotionally, you are not ready to carry it. Pausing honors that reality. It says, I will not punish myself for being human. I will not force my heart to move faster than it can. I will let God bring alignment, not just instruction. Avoidance hides from responsibility. Pausing clarifies responsibility. When you pause, you begin to see which parts of the decision are yours and which are not. You realize that not everything rests on your shoulders, that not every outcome depends on perfect timing, that God is already present in what you haven't chosen yet. Pausing also reveals motivation. It exposes whether you want to decide because it's right or because you're tired of feeling uncomfortable. That awareness alone can change everything. God does not rush you past this moment because this moment matters. The pause is not an interruption in your journey, it is part of the journey. Tonight, if you feel unsure whether you're pausing or avoiding, ask yourself this: does this pause bring me closer to honesty or farther from it? Does it create space for peace or space for distraction? Pausing invites God into the process. Avoiding keeps him at a distance. God is not asking you to escape the decision. He is asking you to meet him before it. So tonight, give yourself permission to pause, not to run, not to hide, but to listen more deeply than you could before. The next step will come, but it will come from clarity, not from pressure. What God often does before direction. Before God gives direction, He often does something quieter and far more important. He settles the heart. Most people believe guidance comes first and peace follows later. But throughout Scripture and throughout real life, the order is usually reversed. Peace comes first, then direction becomes clear. God understands that direction without peace can become a burden instead of a gift. It can feel heavy, demanding, overwhelming, especially when the heart is already tired. So before God tells you where to go, He often prepares how you will carry it. This preparation is subtle. It does not always feel productive. It does not always look like progress, but it is essential. God knows that an unsettled heart will interpret even good guidance through fear. It will question itself. It will second guess. It will feel pressure where there should be trust. So God slows things down. He brings reassurance before instruction. He restores calm before clarity. He steadies the heart before He reveals the next step. This is not delay. This is care. When God met Elijah after exhaustion and fear, He did not begin with direction. He began with rest, with food, with sleep, with presence. Only later did guidance come. This pattern repeats again and again, because God is not only concerned with where you are going, He is deeply concerned with the condition of your heart when you get there. Direction without preparation can overwhelm, but direction received in peace feels different. It feels grounded. It feels sustainable. It feels aligned. Many people miss this stage because it looks too quiet. They assume nothing is happening. But something is happening. God is removing internal noise. He is loosening fear's grip. He is calming the urgency that clouds judgment. He is making space. Space for trust. Space for discernment. Space for wisdom. Sometimes you mistake this quiet work for stagnation. You think you are stuck, but you are being prepared. God does not rush revelation because revelation carries weight. A direction from God is not just information, it is responsibility. And responsibility needs a heart that is not panicking. This is why God often waits until your nervous system has calmed, until your breathing has slowed, until your thoughts are no longer racing. Only then does clarity land softly instead of crashing in. When peace arrives first, direction no longer feels like pressure. It feels like permission. Permission to move. Permission to trust. Permission to take the next step without fear of collapse. Tonight, if you are still waiting for clarity, ask yourself a different question. Not, why hasn't God told me yet? But what is God restoring in me first? Is He restoring rest? Is He rebuilding trust? Is He calming anxiety that has lived in your body too long? God's preparation often feels internal, invisible, easy to overlook. But when direction finally comes, you will recognize it by how it feels. It will not rush you. It will not threaten you. It will not demand proof. It will arrive quietly, with a sense of steadiness you did not have before. And you will realize that the waiting was not empty. It was necessary. Tonight, allow God to do the work that comes before direction. Let Him settle what has been shaken. Let Him calm what has been overworked. Let Him prepare you to receive what is next. The path will be revealed, but first, the heart must be ready to walk it. You are not behind for resting. Many people believe that rest is what you do after you've earned it, that you pause only once everything is finished, that slowing down means you're falling behind. that stopping is something you can afford only when life finally becomes stable. But that belief quietly exhausts the soul. Rest is not a reward for progress. It is a requirement for alignment. You are not behind because you are resting. You are responding to wisdom. The feeling of being behind often has less to do with time and more to do with comparison. You look around and see others moving, deciding, advancing. You measure your pace against their pace, and suddenly, rest feels dangerous. But God does not measure your life against someone else's timeline. He works with seasons, not deadlines. In Scripture, waiting is never portrayed as wasted time. It is often the very place where strength is restored. Rest is not inactivity. It is recalibration. When you rest, your nervous system resets. Your perspective widens. Your discernment sharpens. Without rest, even progress becomes fragile. You may move forward, but you do so carrying tension. You may advance, but with a heart that is already depleted. God is not impressed by speed. He is attentive to sustainability. He knows that a rushed soul will struggle to carry the weight of what comes next. This is why God sometimes slows you down, even when you are capable of moving faster. Not to punish you, not to delay your purpose, but to protect you from burning out before you arrive. Rest does not mean you lack ambition. It means you value longevity. It means you trust that your life does not depend on constant motion. Some of the deepest spiritual work happens when nothing seems to be happening. During rest, God reorders priorities. He softens rigid expectations. He releases pressure you didn't realize you were holding. Rest exposes what truly matters and what you've been chasing out of fear. When you rest, you give your heart permission to stop performing. You no longer need to prove your faith by how quickly you decide, how confidently you move, or how much you can carry. God does not equate rest with disobedience. He often commands it, because He knows that clarity grows best in unhurried soil. If tonight you feel guilty for resting, notice where that guilt comes from. Is it from God, or from a world that glorifies exhaustion? God's invitations do not shame you for slowing down. They reassure you. You are safe to pause. You are held even when you stop. You are not losing ground. Rest creates space for wisdom to surface naturally. Without rest, you may keep moving, but you lose your sense of direction. With rest, you may appear still, but internally, alignment is taking place. Tonight, you are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to receive what comes next. God is not rushing you because He sees the whole path. Rest here, not as an escape, but as preparation. What is meant for you will still be there when you rise. Clarity is not forced. Clarity is often misunderstood. Many people believe clarity is something you create, that if you think long enough, pray hard enough, or analyze deeply enough, it will eventually appear. But real clarity is not manufactured. It is received. Forced clarity may feel decisive, but it rarely feels peaceful. When clarity is forced, it carries tension. It demands certainty before trust. It rushes resolution before readiness. And often, it collapses later. Real clarity behaves differently. It arrives quietly. It does not compete for attention. It does not argue its case. It settles. When clarity comes from God, it does not need defending. You don't feel the urge to convince yourself. You don't feel pressured to explain it to everyone else. It feels stable, even when the outcome is still unknown. This is because clarity is not the absence of uncertainty. It is the presence of peace within uncertainty. Forced clarity seeks control. Received clarity rests in trust. When you force clarity, you are often trying to escape discomfort. You want the questioning to stop. You want the tension to end. You want your mind to finally be quiet. But decisions made to silence discomfort rarely bring lasting peace. They bring temporary relief, followed by deeper confusion. God does not lead that way. God does not pressure you to decide just to ease your anxiety. He is more interested in your alignment than your immediacy. This is why clarity often comes after surrender, not before it. It comes when you release the need to fully understand. When you stop asking, "How do I make the right choice?" and begin asking, "How do I stay close to God no matter what I choose?" That shift changes everything. Clarity grows in relationship, not in control. When your heart is settled, when urgency has quieted, when rest has softened your grip, clarity begins to rise naturally. You start to sense what aligns with your values, your peace, your capacity. You no longer feel pushed, you feel drawn. This is an important difference. Pressure pushes. Clarity draws. Pressure demands action. Clarity invites movement. Pressure creates fear of being wrong. Clarity creates confidence without arrogance. God's clarity does not shout over your thoughts. It waits until your thoughts are willing to listen. Tonight, if you are still searching for answers, consider this. You may not need more information. You may need more stillness. Clarity does not arrive when the mind is crowded. It arrives when space has been made. This is why forcing clarity often delays it. The more you push, the more your heart resists. But when you release the push, when you stop trying to resolve everything tonight, something softens. You begin to trust that guidance will come at the right time, in the right way, and it will. God is not withholding clarity from you. He is waiting for the moment when clarity can be received without fear. That moment is closer than you think. Tonight, you are not required to decide. You are not required to conclude. You are not required to finalize your future. You are only invited to remain open. Clarity will come, not because you forced it, but because you made room for it. Tonight is for settling, not solving. Tonight is not for solving, it is for settling. So much of your life has been spent fixing, managing, adjusting, correcting. You've learned to respond quickly, to hold things together, to stay ahead of problems before they grow. But tonight is asking something different of you. Tonight is not asking you to figure out what comes next. It is asking you to let your heart come back into alignment with where you already are. There is a quiet difference between solving and settling. Solving is active. It searches, analyzes, compares, prepares. It reaches forward, trying to control what hasn't arrived yet. Settling is receptive. It allows, it releases, it trusts. Settling does not mean giving up. It means standing down from unnecessary effort. Many people are exhausted not because life is too hard, but because they never stop trying to manage the future. They carry tomorrow into tonight. They replay conversations that haven't happened. They rehearse decisions that don't need to be made yet. And slowly, without realizing it, their hearts forget how to rest. God does not ask you to carry tomorrow tonight. He meets you here, not in the outcome, not in the solution, but in the present moment. Settling is how you return to that truth. When you settle, you stop arguing with reality. You stop resisting what already is. You stop demanding clarity before peace. You allow yourself to be where you are without judgment. This is deeply spiritual work, because faith is not proven by how much you can solve. It is revealed by how much you can trust. Tonight, you are allowed to put the questions down, not because they don't matter, but because they don't need answers right now. You are allowed to stop scanning the future. You are allowed to release the pressure to make something happen. God is not waiting on your solution. He is present in your surrender. Settling does not ignore responsibility. It places responsibility back into God's hands. It says, I will not carry what I was never meant to carry. I will not force what God has not asked me to force. I will let peace arrive before clarity. There is a deep relief in that. When the heart settles, the body follows. The breath slows. The tension releases. The mind no longer needs to stay alert. This is not avoidance, this is restoration. God restores through settling. He restores perspective. He restores trust. He restores the ability to listen without fear. Many of the answers you are searching for will come not through effort, but through rest. They will arrive quietly, when your heart is no longer braced, when your expectations soften, when your need to control loosens its grip. Tonight, you don't need to fix anything. You don't need to decide anything. You don't need to resolve anything. You only need to allow. Allow God to be present without asking Him to explain Himself. Allow peace to come without demanding it justify its arrival. Allow your heart to settle without questioning whether it's enough, because it is. This night does not determine your future, but it does prepare you for it. What you do not solve tonight will still be there tomorrow, and you will meet it with a steadier heart. Settling is not the end of movement. It is the beginning of right movement. And when morning comes, you will rise not because you have answers, but because you have peace. That is enough for tonight.